Wow, AT&T, no services per normal. Maybe Time Warner can help with that. And AT&T can help with making sense of WestWorld. Hey, and maybe the two could not make the same mistake that Lucasfilm is making with that Han Solo spin-off. Really? Still?
Hello. Welcome to LuZoCast, episode 22. This is Krishna. I'm here with Arjuna, Sarah, and Ravi. Welcome.
I go by Megatron now.
It's Carjuna for me. I'm now sponsored by Cars, the movie.
Yeah, I'm still Sarah because
thank God.
They're ridiculous and my name is awesome.
So, Sarah, I'm only going to be talking to you today.
Excellent.
Because I won't be able to remember their
Excellent.
names.
No, I
Megatron with an M.
Carjuna with a C.
Not a K?
No, I would have thought a K, actually.
Yeah. Because it's cool now.
Yeah.
Anyways, right off the bat, hopefully you can see that we sort of all look the same because we're wearing the same T-shirt.
I don't know if that can be seen behind all of our
we are.
stuff.
We are. We got these cool LuZo T-shirts, and sort of the main reason is because next weekend we're going to be at Stan Lee's comic book convention.
Stan Lee's Los Angeles Comic Con.
Oh, okay, close
Which
enough.
used to be Kamikaze.
Right.
If you are not aware of the name change.
So we're going to be there, and we hope to bring you a lot of very cool content, sort of in the same vein as one of our first things that we released when we were at WonderCon, thank you. In terms of interviews and features, and we're hoping to bring some coverage of different panels and whatnot.
And we can put a link here somewhere, can't we? We can do that.
Somewhere around here.
Somewhere there will be a link to see our first convention video.
Cool.
So
Cool.
Memory Lane.
Memory lane, there we go. So that's that. And right before we jump into sort of the nerdy world and all the fictional stuff that we love so much, right now we're actually going to hit on some real stuff that happened. A lot of kind of intense stuff happened this week. Actually, we have like a pretty jam-packed week to talk about
there's
real
a lot of
quick.
stuff that happened.
So real quick. So first thing, let's talk about. Let's start with how AT&T just bought Time Warner.
That seems like a minor deal.
Yes, a very minor
Small
deal.
change, chump
considering,
change, right?
So I didn't even know this until today when you told me. What does Time Warner own?
CNN, HBO,
Yep.
and Warner Brothers are three of the major things it owns, along with a litany of other items.
And AT&T just bought Time Warner. So now, by extension, AT&T now owns HBO.
World.
Yeah, DC, I guess.
So
CNN.
This is how the DCEU comes back. Every movie is a giant commercial, a cell phone commercial, like about communication. So in the Justice League movie, Batman would be like, "We've come together for communication."
When
to get the perfect signal.
When Superman races Flash and Superman beats him, they're like, "Whoa, what happened?" I switched to AT&T's wireless network.
Exactly. All
and
the
the speed was incredible.
No. What this means, what this means, honestly, is when I call AT&T about any kind of service issues, and the end of the conversation says, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" I can say yes. Why does the DC Cinematic Universe make no sense?
And then they'll say...
they legally have to give me an answer.
They legally will say, "We're working on it, sir, and we appreciate your feedback."
I think they will also say it's not the DC Cinematic Universe. It's the DC. What is it?
EU.
What is
the
it?
DCEU.
Extended
Expanded?
universe?
Extended.
Not entertainment.
Not entertainment.
Like
It should be.
It makes no sense either way.
What does DC stand for?
Dark Comics?
Digital Comics.
No.
They were ahead of the game.
Clearly not.
Far ahead of the
Wait,
game.
honestly,
like so
though,
many
is there-
acronyms.
Honestly,
within
that's what it
acronyms.
means. Digital Comics.
Is it really?
You're lying.
No.
Totally lying.
He's lying.
I am acting.
We're very gullible.
Oh,
Okay, second real world news item. The big sort of hack that happened. So quick backstory. We woke up yesterday morning. This is very recent. Yesterday morning, which is Friday morning. Friday the 21st. Is that when it happened?
Yes.
Friday the 21st. So
Yes.
we woke up Friday the 21st, and obviously we're looking to play some PlayStation. So we boot up the PlayStation. PlayStation Network is down. Okay, whatever, fine. I go to another site that I use. That site's down. I get an email from another site that I use. That site's down. So something weird's going on. I get to work, and my boss is like, "Hey, guess what? Our POS system has been down." because of various things. And so something weird's going on, and lo and behold, we look it up, and it looks like the whole like Eastern Board. Technical people will have to help me out here. Like Eastern Board, like servers?
The DDoS server.
It's called
So
a
it's a
DNS
DDoS.
server. So the internet is comprised of numbers, ones and zeros,
That Al Gore
nines and
created.
eights and twos and sixes and ones and other numbers. So whenever you type in or want to go to something like apple.com, you're typing in apple.com. But what you're actually doing is you're taking apple.com and it's translating that, DNSing that into the actual IP address. So what this attack was we'll get into this. It was the smart home devices sending hundreds and hundreds of what are known as little packets to overwhelm this DNS server, basically take it offline. So when you type in, for example, apple.com, your computer, your service providers goes and checks with the service provider, then it bounces off to the DNS server, and it goes, I don't know what apple.com means because where the repository is of all that information is coming back with an error.
That's very interesting because for both PlayStation Network and the two other sites, it was specific. The sites worked when I wanted to go to like the two sites.
PlayStation.com or
Yeah, they worked. It's when I wanted to log in that's when it failed.
so
So
that's probably using another
it timed
address or
out.
server
Different
address
it was
or
very
so
interesting
forth.
that's what happened.
How about sports games requiring internet to make you like play them?
I think I ran into. I was gonna say I don't know if I remember running into problems with the fantasy app or not.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm trying
didn't
to
check
think.
it yesterday,
But
so-
I did get an email. So I have we have a feeder for the cats. It's a PetNet, and I got an email from PetNet that they had problems.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this morning our DNS provider was the victim of a cyber attack.
Does that mean the cat's starved?
No. It meant
You saw the
The
cats,
cats
you
will never
tell
starve.
us.
they're not starving. They're
I don't know. I was looking kind of weak today.
I actually haven't seen Oz all day.
He just came out a second ago.
Oh, I missed him.
For those of you who are
Yeah,
new
kitty,
audience
kitty,
members,
kitty, kitty.
Oz is a cat, not
And
a
so is
human.
and so is Lucy.
Oz and
Hey,
Lucy.
hey, get
and
ready,
they're not
ready,
underfed
ready,
by
ready?
any means.
Oz. See
And-
that? See how we did that?
Lou.
So
See.
LuZo.
So,
Anything else that you want to add for that hack?
So the important thing about this hack, I think the bigger thing is, yes, oh, woohoo, you brought down a DNS server, yay. I think the important thing, and they're still looking into this, if this is actually how they did the attack, is the hackers or whoever did this, they use smart home connected devices.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things like the Nest drop camera, your
PetNet.
automatic blinds, your PetNet, all these home connected devices.
Mm-hmm.
Those were sending the packets to overwhelm the DNS server.
So how did they
So this is what's interesting.
Right.
Supposedly these devices are secure and you can't break into them. But if this is true in regards to whatever these hackers did, they were able to gain access to these things quite easily and then use all of these dummy devices as a means to knock all this down. Because in order to overwhelm or to do a successful DDoS attack, you need a lot of hardware, not a lot of individual IP address devices sending information. And if on average your smart home or your apartment has, 4 or 5 devices, that's 4 or 5 devices you can grab hold of and send packets and attack. So it's interesting is the fact that they brought the DNS thing down, I don't think is necessarily the scary thing. It's the thing that's scary is you can use smart home devices now to implement these types of attacks.
So
I
Christian,
just-
we're safe.
Yeah, actually you are.
We, on the other hand,
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have a question.
many smart
if that's
devices.
okay.
Yes, please.
So who did it?
Nobody knows.
No
yet.
one-
This is,
claimed it.
I was just going to draw a parallel to our political LuZo, actually. Please check that out. If you go to LuZo Productions on Facebook or YouTube, you'll find...
Well, it's just on Facebook.
Just on Facebook.
Just on
That's for
Facebook. But there was a lot of talk around like hacking and cyber attacks around this election. And I believe Russia's been thrown around a couple of times. Not to, say that's what it is, but there seems to be a lot of interesting cyber linkage to that country. That is not good terminology, I know.
Country.
Please don't give me that face.
I will say this: I think Russia is thrown around a lot for a lot of things. I'm not defending
Ooh.
Russia. It could be Russia. I'm just saying I think that's people's knee-jerk
Go-to
reaction.
answer.
It's Russia.
Stock answer.
It's gotta be
Or
Russia.
just the same way
Russia.
when like the interview came out, everyone's like, well, it's North Korea because we pissed them off.
Right.
Maybe.
And because of the nature of the film.
I mean,
and
no one
whatnot.
else has claimed it, and they seem the most likely. But
I think
you
it
know,
was America.
the entire country.
Well, that would be. Wait, what if it's just WestWorld?
We're
It's just
not.
a glitch.
This isn't political.
What if-
LuZo.
what
we
if
can't be
it's
talking about this
Skynet?
technically.
Yeah, I think it might be Skynet.
What
Okay,
if it's Skynet?
so
Or
this-
Genesis.
This is a
Skynet.
perfect segue into our next topic, which is
I don't think it's perfect, but
I think
no, it's perfect.
a little
WestWorld.
shoddy.
We're actually going to talk about WestWorld.
wait. What about the planet?
You're right. Thank you. Thank
have
you.
more
So this
real
is
world,
real
that's
quick.
why I thought it
I'm
was
sorry.
another
We
good
have
one.
one more
Yeah,
real
I think
world.
it did
Oh
work.
yeah, you're right.
It
I
did
was going to
work.
skip my favorite one. Real quick then. The last piece of real world news, and this is my favorite, is that in the last week or so, really last couple of days, there's been a release sort of scientists theorizing about a massive ninth planet that will be attributed to the solar system. So there's been a mystery in the solar system that has plagued scientists for decades, is that the sun rotates on its axis like this, and all the other planets, the other 8 planets, unfortunately not including Pluto, because Pluto is actually on a different trajectory, a different orbit, but the other 8 planets, they orbit a very similar orbit within each other, but if the sun rotates this way, the planets are rotating at a 6-degree difference, or something like a 6-degree difference to the actual sun's rotation. And this is a mystery that has plagued scientists for a while, because what would cause these planets to not just be in line with the sun? And so now the newest theory, and that they're getting closer to actually proving it, is that there is a massive planet, which right now is called Planet 9, that is orbiting. It sounds like it would be either inside the Kuiper Belt or outside the Kuiper Belt. Either way, it's about 20 times further out than Neptune. Neptune is that the furthest? I think that's the furthest out. So before Pluto, which was a planet, before Pluto you have Neptune. I know, poor Pluto. But so you have Neptune out 20 times further than that. We have a planet that is which is massive, and it is at a 30-degree difference from the sun, and that planet, which takes between 10,000 and 20,000 years to orbit the sun. That's how far away it is. That mass, as it goes around, is affecting the tilt of the planets. That's what they're theorizing. And they haven't found it. It's just a theory. They're using math to figure that out. And they theorize it's going to take about 3 years to actually find it in the night sky, which is really ironic to think about. It's very easy to see things that are so far away because the light's reaching us. Something that close, relatively speaking, is very hard to spot because it's moving faster than everything else further away, relatively speaking, if that makes sense.
Right, compared to
makes
stars.
complete
Right.
sense, yeah.
So it's so even though it's 20 times further out and it takes between 10 and 20,000 years to rotate the sun, it's still extremely difficult to spot in the night sky. So I thought that was really cool. It just shows we can find out things about our universe in any given day, but there are things right here in our very backyard, so to speak, in terms of cosmology that we're learning every day. I think, Sarah.
I have a different theory.
Ooh, please.
Is it Doctor Who related?
It is not actually Doctor Who related.
Thank
I
God.
stay in the real world where Pluto is angry. As are some of us.
Wait, Pluto, according to the
Okay.
Romans, is the god of death. So, whoa.
Right. So here's the deal. Because I seriously miss Pluto as a planet. I think it's just sad. And I think Pluto's angry. And Pluto's just messing with everything now. Because they said, no, Pluto,
So-
you're not a real planet. So we're going to strike you off. Even though everyone for decades and decades has been learning you as the 9th planet. Now we have 8 and bye-bye. So Pluto's angry and just messing with everything.
Whatever happened to Planet X? I learned about that at elementary school.
So the problem with Pluto and Planet X is that Pluto is too far out. Plus, it's on a completely different orbit than the other 8 planets. But it's so far out that they really theorize that it's probably part of the Kuiper Belt because they found an object in the Kuiper Belt, which is really just a bunch of asteroids.
What's the Kuiper Belt?
The Kuiper Belt is a group of asteroids, so a bunch of big rocks and ice and other minerals, a ring of these objects that orbit the sun that is further out than Pluto. right? And the problem with this belt is that there are objects in the Kuiper belt that are larger than Pluto that are also orbiting the sun. So it forced scientists to actually gather and actually define what a planet is. Because if you look at Pluto, the size, it's smaller than our moon. The way that it's orbiting, it does have its own moons, but there are objects in the Kuiper belt which are further away than Pluto that are larger than Pluto. So how are you going to call Pluto a planet, but objects that are that are further out, right? That are that part of this like mass, this asteroid belt, and just call those asteroids.
It's sizest is what it is, and I don't like it.
What if Pluto and Planet X are revolving around Planet 9?
It's a conspiracy theory.
What if there is no Planet
game
9 and
theory.
Pluto and Planet X have ganged up together on the rest of the solar system?
I like it.
Ooh, I like that.
Isn't
I like
Pluto,
that.
isn't Pluto a dog?
But speaking of ganging
No.
up, speaking of ganging up,
Oh, yeah.
and gangs and Western posses.
I didn't think we
Let
ever said anything about
Unless Ravi has something to add to Planet, the great and
Ravi-
mysterious Planet 9.
Ravi agrees with me about the Pluto theory because we're married.
Oh, I like that. Okay, let's move on. I like that. Calling to
That's a
marriage.
no.
Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to our regularly scheduled programming. Westworld episode 3 recap. If someone here wants to give us a little recap of what happened, because I'm having a hard. Westworld premieres every Sunday.
Sunday.
So we watched this
6 o'clock?
6 days ago.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Here's what I remember. Here I remember character names. I'm really bad.
Dolores?
Bernard.
Bernard.
This
Ford?
is the two we learned
Ford.
last week, right?
Yes. Is he the guy who's also
Ford
in
is
Hunger Games?
Hannibal.
Oh, not
Anthony
him.
Hopkins.
Then. Not him. His assistant. His
Bernard.
second in command. Or Bernard. Let's start with Bernard. So
Oh, wait. Then who?
is that Bernard?
Bernard.
Anthony Hopkins' character. We found out. I think the major thing is we found out that he had an assistant named Arnold.
I'm sorry.
No, it was the
real quick,
co-founder.
real quick, I'm sorry. Everybody here, please stop pulling Joseph Liebers and keep away from your microphones.
I'm actually being pretty good.
There we
I think
go.
It's Arjuna.
Much better. Thank you.
I actually think Joseph Lieber is haunting the set. He is here among us. Joseph Lieber, wherever you are.
Maybe if our set was designed better, Mr. Set Designer.
Maybe if I had help designing the set.
So
I try and you yell at me.
Anthony Hopkins' character, I think the major reveal that at least I got from it was that he had an assistant named Arnold.
No. It wasn't an assistant. It's his partner.
It was the
His
partner.
partner. Okay, thank you.
Co-founder.
So his co-founder partner, thank you,
He went,
named Arnold, who went kind of crazy and became obsessed with basically creating AI, creating consciousness, and what is consciousness.
Yes.
And it seems like a host or two, or is it just one host? So I think the story was that like one of the hosts was started to repeat the name Arnold, like having a conversation with Arnold.
It's one of the.
It's an invisible conversation.
It's an invisible conversation. It's one of the bandits that eventually goes up to Dolores's home.
Mm-hmm.
Those bandits. One of them, who's the actor that does Trevor, is one of those bandits.
Yeah,
His
Trevor from
Grand Theft
Grand Theft Auto.
His partner is the one that ultimately murders Trevor's character in Westworld. And during that altercation, he's talking to Arnold.
And that
Or
has-
it appears to be he's
About
talking
milk.
to Arnold.
And yeah, we saw that in episode 2, right?
Oh,
with
that
the
guy,
milk pouring.
right.
That was episode
The
1.
milk guy.
Was that episode 1?
That was episode 1
okay.
that all happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other, to add to your recap, the other big moment in the episode was, I think, at the end of the episode where 2 of the employees of Westworld, is that how you would say that?
One of the
The
Hemsworth
employees
brothers.
of the company that owns Westworld, which would not.
Yes.
It's
We
not
don't-
just Westworld.
Yes.
So I
We don't know what the
if you
company's
company
name is, but the 2 of the
Delos, Delos.
So 2 Delos employees go after a host that had wandered off from the group. And what's interesting about that host is they carved Orion, the star constellation, in a bunch of wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got themselves trapped. And it looks like, or it appears that they got themselves trapped, lured one of the employees down so that they had rope, pulled themselves up, attacked the other employee, picked
Right.
up a rock as if they were going to hurt the employee, and then crush their own
To
head
be
in.
fair,
Committed
actually, he
suicide.
Yes,
he didn't
kind of.
attack her. Once he was up there, he didn't attack her. He came towards her. He was just walking up, and she was backing away. Then
Well,
he picked up the rock.
it looked like he was going to attack.
Right,
her.
but he didn't actually do that. He wasn't
Right.
ever attacking.
His goal was to try and climb up that ravine, and then he finally did, and then he smashed his brains in once he did.
Very brutal.
The
It was
major
pretty graphic.
so correct me if I'm wrong. The major takeaway is that we have a world, we have hosts, which are these excellently designed robots, basically. That their programming is starting to go haywire. It seems like someone or something is hacking that programming. And we got that a little bit with, I don't know the actor's or the character's name, the guy from Hunger Games, phenomenal actor from Casino Royale.
Bernard. His name's Bernard.
Bernard has been having conversations with Dolores.
Correct. Yep.
And not wiping her memory.
Yep.
And we got that feeling from the first or second episode, where we knew she was smarter
Second
than she was looking on. Was it the second? Yeah. And so it seems like at least one influence of her greater intelligence is that he's been talking to her, asking her about the very nature of existence and her programming.
and
almost.
also reading, having her read, which is
Yes.
something that I don't know. I wouldn't call it hacking the programming. I feel like it's more. This is somewhere in between hacking programming and AI developing a conscience and becoming more sentient.
Yes.
It's
The thing,
kind of the Skynet
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, giving it its own like learning ground, so it can just develop on
And
its
we
own.
saw in the episode she started to have visions of previous lives when she went back to the ranch.
A lot of them did,
and,
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just seeing the type of things that had happened in the past in different times. She died here, she pulled out a gun here, and all those type of things. So we're seeing that type of development. And then the last thing I saw, they gave like Teddy, James Marsden's character, a backstory.
Yes, they almost created it out of thin air.
They were developing
yeah.
them into another storyline because they need a new arc
Right.
or
Right.
something.
Right. So what I got from that was, I don't know, like Anthony Hopkins had a very interesting conversation with him. It was like, I almost got the impression that it was like, he was thinking, we need to give you more of a backstory.
He said they
So we're
didn't
gonna
even
give
bother.
you-
They didn't even bother to
They didn't
create
even
one.
they gave him a motivation, but they didn't give him a backstory to begin with, because we
Like
just
a
kept,
nameless motivation.
yeah, exactly. We just saw him keep getting shot, and now that he's sort of like, poor James Marden.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's just a puppet. He's clearly just a puppet in the soul, and just to show how the
Okay.
world works. But like, now he's like, you know what? To make you more interesting, let's give you this backstory. And I honestly, what I think is going on is, this is my. So let's go around real quick with theories. My theory, real quick. Anthony Hopkins. I think Arnold hacked the system, and Anthony Hopkins is trying to hack the system to find out what Arnold before he died. I think Anthony Hopkins probably had Arnold killed, but before Arnold was killed, he had developed several layers to the world, and Anthony Hopkins is now trying to create ways to find out how exactly Arnold is controlling the system even beyond the grave. The show, to me, it's very much dealing with consciousness, what is real, what isn't real, how much of life is actually programming and not. Because I don't know about you guys, the show has made me question how much, when we are interacting in real life, for instance, how much is an actual thing, or is almost like a reactionary response, like a pre-programmed response due to either genetics or just how you're raised, that kind of a thing, which is, in my opinion, why it's a great show, because it makes you question these things. It also makes me realize I will never do virtual reality again, at least sober. I will never do it again.
I don't think it's wise to do it other than sober, because that's going to be way worse.
That's true. That is very true. But Ravi?
Yeah, you actually mentioned something a moment ago. You started to say something about Westworld? No? Okay.
Juna? Theories.
Well, I think one theory that was thrown around when we watched it, I think Ravi mentioned this, is the partner Arnold is perhaps what's the actor's name?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris's character,
but
Man in Black. Doesn't have a character's name.
I was going to say Black Hat Man, but it's Man in Black.
Is potentially Arnold, and I kind of like that theory, but I don't think he's fully human. I feel like he's a mix of some type of host guest, and from what's been described of this Arnold character so far, that would seem to make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Sarah and Ravi? Anything to add? Anything at all?
Nah.
No? WestWorld? Any predictions for the next episode? I actually can't even remember what the preview was for this week, so I
I
can't even.
don't remember what the next time was, but I just I'm actually I know Ravi was trying to do it this way because he didn't know much. You said you didn't know much going in, and you like
Not
that
knowing anything.
because it's really cool.
too.
I knew a little,
Smart.
but not that much. Just the information I'd been told about the movie that it was based on.
Yes.
So I don't mind a little theorizing, but I'm going to listen to everybody else's theories, and I'm just going to watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, smart. That way you get to enjoy both worlds.
WestWorld.
No, you said
The West
world.
and the East?
Best world.
Best worlds.
I do want to
West
say
worlds.
the two theories that I had going in last week, the time
Which
displacements.
were so cool.
And Bernard is actually a host. They still hold up.
No, not
And
the
the reason I say the time
displacement
one,
one doesn't.
well, hold on a second. All we saw when Dolores meets what I originally thought was the young Ed Harris is we just saw a Dolores that was upset, just running there. That could be anything. That could be the same things being repeated. That could be, hey, I just felt like running here. It could be anything. You're just seeing a scene and a person running into it. Sure, the previous scene was whatever, but, as an editor, as a director, as a filmmaker, you're placing films and you're placing shots and so forth to, yes, tell a story or maybe to hide some of their truth.
And to add on to that, right? These are robots who have had countless, almost limitless playbacks, right? Who's to say which version you're seeing when certain scenes happen?
Right.
What if it's a version after the fact? And so when you see flashbacks of Ed Harris, that's not like flashing forward. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, now you're getting all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
yes, but you can. Oh man,
But that's what makes the show very interesting.
Thought-provoking,
Is that to us the guests that are coming in, they're living their day to day. The hosts are living what seems to be a day or a couple days over and over and over and over again, which from a storytelling standpoint makes it interesting, makes it different, makes it more difficult to kind of figure out where they're at, where it's happening, and so forth. Also, my other theory, Bernard still being a robot, I think it still holds up.
That one I agree.
Because I think somebody mentioned it, Bernard may be trying to hack the system or hack whatever with Dolores. I don't think so. I think what he's doing is he, for the most part, has been programmed, or he is in real life if he's not a host. He just recently lost his son. He's trying to deal with the death of his son, and he's looking at this. The conversations they're having is about consciousness. I think Bernard is trying to figure out if, hey, there's this thing called a host, which looks like a human, talks like a human. Wait, this sounds like when we did. Never mind. Remember the game when we were kids?
Yeah.
Humans. Yeah. Anyway.
Go
Side
Ends.
note. Real major side note there.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
great.
that was crazy.
Oh,
Anyway,
that was wonderful.
I think Bernard is contemplating, do I take this company, this technology, and do I try and bring back my son? I think that's what these conversations are with Dolores.
Or-
Is she really conscious? And if I put all this effort and this in to bring my son back, is he back or is...
Or was he programmed by Arnold to hack the system by giving him by giving him a backstory of him losing his son? Like, his backstory is he's lost his son, right? Now introduce him into this thing. Maybe Anthony Hopkins is not aware that this guy is a robot. Now he's interacting with the robots, right? And,
Right.
But he's been given this backstory before Anthony Hopkins' character by Arnold.
But Arnold
you lost
was
your
30
son.
years ago, correct?
Arnold was
It
30
seems-
years
it seems
ago.
very early on.
Yeah, or I think Arnold was around and then Arnold was gone.
Yeah. So I don't know if that holds up because 30 years would have passed.
Unless
Well, why wouldn't it hold up?
unless
though?
Bernard
for
is
who?
one of
For who
For
would it
Bernard,
not hold up?
for Bernard.
Bernard
could be
could be
one of,
living out the same day over and over and over again. Yes. Oh, or maybe not.
But with
maybe
humans?
not. Yeah, probably
Yeah,
not.
that's the
probably
thing that
not,
doesn't
yeah.
make sense to me.
Because he's having a relationship on the side with that
Yeah.
lady.
His world
But-
has
Yeah,
progressed.
no,
It's progressed.
it's evolving.
Right,
Yeah, you're
but-
right. Okay, fair enough.
But
All
to
right.
be fair, well, actually, never mind. I was
Oh.
gonna say the host that brought in, what is the actor's name? Who I think is the young Ed Harris. His
I
character.
don't know his name.
I don't
His
know.
character. Remember, it was a host that was brought in to introduce him and kind of. I was gonna say, isn't her programming a little bit more complex and more adaptive? But to a degree, you can kind of program what somebody's like what someone's gonna ask, and your designated responses, so that. you might
And
know
and there's been mentioned a few times they have improvisation protocols as well.
I just
They
had
can
a thought.
improvise a little bit.
I just had a thought
Mm-hmm.
because Bernard is having the affair with the chick.
Yes.
She made a comment about the fact that they don't have to basically like snuggle and talk afterwards or anything like that. Kind of like you might be a host. Because there's like
That's interesting.
like the people that go into WestWorld, the people that go into WestWorld
I
and
actually
find
find
the ladies in the brothel.
That's a good point.
I just
Yeah.
thought of that when you said that about the fair, and I was like, oh,
Yes. Anyone else?
she's using. If she
She's
knows. or
Last,
she-
last thing,
well, no,
last thing
I
on
don't know.
Westworld. Anyone else get the impression that the hosts? So obviously they're giving way more screen time and way more humanity. Almost the guests, they're coming. The guests almost to a fault. Even the guy who feels a little. They're coming across as like these really sort of sadistic,
Disgusting people.
disgusting. Like I could do whatever I want. And so I'm
I-
gonna play out the primitive. The primitive dark side of my psyche.
I think that's just done as a commentary on us as people, that we
Cool.
are all disgusting, terrible human beings at our core,
I
and
love
if
it.
given freedom to do whatever,
That's what we would choose.
We will do the most disturbing, messed up things. I think
to play it out.
to play it out. I mean,
Yeah.
what I think is really interesting with this is this was written, directed, shot over 30 years ago, or about 30 years ago, close to.
The original movie.
The original, I think it came out in 1978, 79.
73.
73. Oh, so it's over 30 years ago. So I think it will be very interesting. I'm very
That's
interested
actually
to see.
over 40 years ago.
Yeah, over 40 years. I'm very interested to see the original movie after this first season.
Yeah, me too.
To kind of compare it to what we're seeing, what people are doing, to your point, given free reign to do whatever you want, and to what a 1973 version of this story where people were doing
What
then.
it looks like compared to
Something tells me
where it changes.
it's going to be about the same in terms of how disgusting and
Depraved.
disturbing and depraved humanity is.
I
Interesting.
think that commentary hasn't
At least a
changed.
part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
because-
I mean, that kind of commentary hasn't changed. I mean, look
Yeah,
at
for sure.
1985 and
But-
Animal Farm.
But if
and-
anything I get from the show is all compartmentalized. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have a very man, this is part of discussion for a different kind of show. Maybe philosophical LuZo.
no,
baby.
Lord.
No.
Before we'll go down a rabbit hole, let's just switch gears into something more lovable. Star Wars.
Or stars.
Star Wars. Okay, so first thing I want to say, because a couple of things came out that were kind of cool. Donald Glover has officially been cast as young Lando in a
Wait,
Han
hold on.
Solo spin-off movie. First of all, Ravi,
Boo.
what are you booing? What are you booing? You have to
I am
clarify
booing
this.
specifically.
Yes.
Not that Donald Glover.
There you go.
I love
Yeah.
Donald Glover. He was amazing in
Community.
Community. I love his
He's
music.
even better in Atlanta.
I will get to that at some point. He was
You will.
great in The Martian. His
He
character.
was.
It was great. I am booing the fact that Lucas and Disney think, oh, we have to have a Han Solo movie.
This news
What
has been out
is it
for a
going?
while.
I know it's
It
been out
was
for a
brought
while.
up-
He's been
I
booing
know,
it for a
I've
while.
been booing it for a while. This is just another platform for me to keep booing.
It was bought up by Disney. They're going to have these
I
movies.
know, I get that, but Rogue One, for example, Rogue One is really cool. It introduces us to new characters. It introduces us to new lore. It introduces us to a lot of new stuff. We're being reintroduced to the same characters, but they're younger. Big whoop.
No. So I actually slightly disagree. So the
Yeah.
reason I
Me
disagree
too.
is because if you had just watched episode 4 and no other movie, you're absolutely right. You're looking at this jerk off, right, of a character who, sort of falls for this princess and is like a bad boy. He's like a typical bad dude,
Very
right?
self-centered.
That's great. That's all I care about.
No, it's not though. You watch episode 5 and 6, the character deepens and develops, and guess what? At least I want to know why this guy is able to
read the
develop
novels
this
in your
way.
own time. Don't make a movie about it.
No. A lot of people don't have time to read
don't
the
agree
novels.
with that.
Also, technically, the
hate
novels
that they're doing
the
it.
novels
they're not
are
canon
no
anymore.
longer canon.
Right.
The novels of his early life, and then the comics that they're putting out now are not from his early life. So they haven't done anything that's
Right.
canon
But-
that's
but-
his early life.
But the comics are taking place between episodes 4 and 5, which give you
That's-
enough backstory to explain why he became such a sweetheart in episode 5 and 6.
Quick thing. The
Such a nice boy.
fact that Donald Glover has been cast as Lando Calrissian is the relationship between those two characters. Guess what? What is the dearest thing to Han Solo besides Leia?
The Millennium Falcon?
How did he get the Millennium Falcon?
He stole it from Lando?
No,
Ron
he
from
won
Lando?
it in a bet. He won it in a bet. Lando Calrissian is one of his best friends. Lando Calrissian also cannot be trusted ever. That's a very interesting dynamic that was never explored in the movies. It's alluded to. That is a great piece of drama.
That's a
Movie.
great book.
Hey, Rabbi, let me
That's a
tell
great
you,
book to
let me-
movie.
Rabbi,
Nobody
let me-
reads
I'll tell you.
anymore.
I'll tell you why this movie is happening. There's always like you do one for the studio and one for me, right? And this is what's happening with the Star Wars spin-off movies. We're doing one creative for Rogue One, and we're doing one that's going to guarantee money about a character that's beloved within the Star Wars.
Boo!
Smart.
That's how it's going to work.
I know,
worked, though.
I know,
It's
but
a
does
one
work.
and one deal.
It does work.
This is what I hate. This is why I'm so mad. Is a while ago, about 2 years ago. About 2 years ago. I don't remember who said this to me. This was right after the deal was signed between George Lucas and Disney, and somebody said
More than 2 years ago.
more than 2 years, whenever it happened.
2.5.
Somebody-
9.
Okay.
30.
Somebody said to me, they said, Ravi, as a Star Wars fan, do you think you'll ever get fatigued by Star Wars? And I said, absolutely not. Why would I? It's the greatest thing ever. I'm being proven wrong. If this movie happens, which it looks like sadly it is,
It's going to happen.
happening.
It's going to happen.
It's happening.
I'm going to boo it.
No, you're not. We're
still
gonna go
make,
watch it.
It's still going to stay $800 million.
It's
There's going to be an attraction at Disneyland.
ooh, I'll go to that too. You know, there's gonna be. Well, hold on. They're building
gonna be Happy Meals.
whatever they're calling Star Wars Land. There's an entire land.
Right,
It was
it's a Star Wars
announced.
land.
It's
Well,
just,
it's like gonna take.
it's
forever, but-
depressing. It depresses me. It's sad. It's like, it's creative goopity. It's laziness.
It's not lazy.
That's what it is. Laziness. It is lazy. You have these great two iconic characters. There was a lot of passion and drama. It was given to us in the original trilogy. That's awesome. Star Wars is not about one family and a bunch of side characters. It's about an
But it
entire universe.
No.
And
Oh,
if
wrong.
you want to keep people interested, you need to expand your audience. You
But-
need to bring in other stories.
And that's how
other
you do it.
arcs.
I mean,
That's how you do it.
Artists would argue with you that any sequel is lazy.
So, I mean,
Truthfully, you're,
True.
You're continuing the same world while true art
To-
would create something new.
to be
each time
to be
around.
fair, the best way to develop other characters is that you have a well-known character, do an origin story, introduce new characters into that origin story that become very popular, and then guess what? You can do stories about them. That's the best way to develop characters because everyone's going to go see the Han Solo movie because everyone loves Han Solo, right?
No.
Yes.
I hate Han
Yes.
Solo.
You're
do
a liar.
not.
You're a liar.
I'm a Luke Skywalker fan. He
I'm
had
not-
the Force.
I don't.
He's way more interesting than Han Solo.
The,
1,000 times more
So
interesting.
first of all, to talk to your other point though about like Star Wars, episode 1 through 9 is all about the Skywalker family.
Right,
The whole
right.
point of bringing in the spin-offs is to get away from the Skywalker family.
So you go to two people
Han Solo.
That
who
was
are
prior-
closely related
He was
to...
not,
Yes.
though.
That's
At the
why-
time, he
that's why
wasn't.
you-
So you're going to bring
you
in
have-
other
There's
characters.
going to be
because
no.
this is
There
well-
should be very little force in this movie.
You have to
I'm
start
fine,
there. You
but
have to start
there
there.
are other characters.
But if you
Start
don't,
there
there.
are so many other
if you don't
characters.
build it
Start
on
there.
characters
Start
that are
there.
known and loved, you can't expand.
Yeah.
People are not going to watch it.
Start with what people know.
People know stormtroopers. People
No.
know the Empire. People know the Force.
And
That's
you're
what-
doing
still-
Rogue
People
One,
know
which I
bounty hunters. People know the
Han Solo.
Mandalorians.
People
Han
do
Solo.
not know the Mandalorian.
I think Disney is thinking that.
Don't go that far.
I think Disney thinks that people aren't that intelligent, so they have to give them
No.
what they know.
They aren't that intelligent.
No.
No.
It's nothing to do with intelligence.
We,
Sarah?
we are nerds. We are all huge nerds, and we are friends with a bunch of huge nerds.
I don't think that
No,
term stands
hold
up
on.
anymore.
Okay, whatever you want to call us, we are super fans. Okay, we know things that are not just everybody doesn't necessarily know and doesn't discuss. We have conversations where we discuss the type. This is one of my favorite conversations and ongoing. I will always have these conversations about the best type of single or two pilot small ships to fly, across all that. I love that conversation.
Battlestar Galactica, the Viper.
Thank you. I want a Viper and I also want an X-Wing. Anyway, those are normal conversations for us, but normal people don't have those conversations. And so you're playing to the people that don't have those conversations, which honestly outnumber us. Let's be real. We have those conversations because all of our friends, or a lot of our friends, are kind of at that point as well, where they have a greater than average knowledge of the things that we enjoy, which are huge nerdy things, even if you think that's not a valid term. So we aren't your average Joe. They're not playing to us. They're playing to people who have a lesser knowledge of broader information about these topics. And so they have to go with characters that are better known, because then they can introduce other characters. Then they can introduce all this other stuff, but they have to have
I agree.
something for them to latch on to.
Yeah.
Baseline.
Because you almost
It's
No, I totally agree because like Sarah, I've read a lot of the expanded novels in the universe, and so a lot of people haven't done that though because they're not uber nerds like we are, or they got into they got
Robbie
into the
hasn't
game
even read
late.
it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So
Too
guess
many
what?
words.
Guess what you have to do? You have to give them a crash course. How do you do that? Movie, boom, done. You know.
But Han Solo and Lando Calrissian are boring.
It's a great story. They're not. No, that is some of the best cinema you're gonna get. They're two gamblers who don't trust each other, who are
Boring.
also best friends. That is the
Boring.
best cinema you can get in the backdrop of a
Oh, I'm sorry.
space opera.
I'm sorry. There's this little character called Boba Fett.
That's boring to me. That's
How is
boring.
that boring?
No, okay,
How
I'll
is
say
that
it's
boring?
not boring.
He's
That's
a clone. He's a
that's
clone.
more
And his
boring.
father was
Inside
killed
voice.
in
That's-
front of him.
That's
Inside
more
Voice
boring.
has children.
That's more boring than
But his rise
showing a
isn't.
Han Solo. No, not at all.
His
That
rise
cool.
is very interesting.
We should
because
watch his
at a young
rise.
age,
Right.
at a very, very young age, he was running the entire underworld on Coruscant.
So wait, last time I checked,
when he was
Star
in his
Wars
teens.
was owned by Disney. They can greenlight both movies, and guess what?
They probably will.
So let's move on. Real quick, Star Wars. A couple other things. We're going to be real quick on these. Kylo Ren in Episode 7 almost became good. This comes down to almost like an interview, I believe, Arjuna.
Yeah, there was an interview with J.J. Abrams, and he was asked about in the pivotal scene in Episode 7. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Episode 7. When
If you haven't,
Shame
then why are you
on
watching
you.
our show?
True story. But
Come on.
Han Solo and Kylo Ren are on the bridge, and Han is trying to talk Ben out of the dark side and come back and everything, and he seems to waver, and then he obviously stabs him. So the interviewer asked JJ, was he just faking it the whole time, or was Han Solo actually getting through to him? And JJ's answer is interesting because what JJ said essentially was he was getting through to him, but he shot the scene and interprets it as Kylo.
You can keep going.
Oh,
Keep talking.
sorry, I'm so
Yeah,
confused.
keep talking.
Kylo Ren was kind of being affected by what Han Solo was saying, was thinking about it, but felt he was too far gone, and then ended what was the conflict within him. And because he even says, right? He says, I'm so confused, I'm so conflicted, I don't know what to do, blah blah blah. So I just thought it was really interesting that there is some. He's gone pretty far, obviously, Kylo, but there's still something.
There's still
There's still
redemption.
good in him.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same as the
Vader.
Vader.
Of course.
But I mean, it's all again.
It's
I
a
feel like
Skywalker
that.
flaw.
But I also, it's not a flaw. But I feel like it's also kind of it goes back to the balanced force kind of thing. Like it's a yin yang thing. It's not even a force thing. It's a like in every bit of good In everything good, there is a bit of evil. In everything evil, there is a bit of good. There is still that, it's the duality of nature. And I'm going to stop. But I think that
Duality.
it's not surprising that, of course, he's conflicted and whiny and throws temper tantrums. Well, let's be real. That's one of my favorite parts of that movie, when he throws a temper tantrum and the stormtroopers just turn around and walk the other way.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, let us move on.
Moving on.
To Sweden.
No, that's a pretty big move.
What are we moving on to, Mr. Host?
Okay, let's move on to Marvel real quick. There's only one thing I want to mention in Marvel, and that is the Logan trailer. The reason I think we should mention this trailer is because it is very different than any other Marvel or Fox 20, like Fox movie?
Fox.
Fox that, yeah.
Yeah,
Fox
it's
does
different.
too.
It's very different than any other movie that we've ever mentioned. It's gonna be real quick. First impressions: 1, Wolverine has scars. 2, it's played to one of the greatest songs ever made, and it's actually a cover by Johnny Cash. That sounds weird.
Yes,
Why would
that
Johnny
is
Cash?
weird.
Why would Johnny Cash be covering a song? Because the song, originally written in 1995 by Trent Reznor for Nine Inch Nails, was that good. And Johnny
Yes.
Cash came to Trent Reznor and said, I will cover this song. That's honestly why the trailer is so good.
My mind has just been blown. Are
yes.
you serious? 1995, Trent Reznor?
Yes.
You didn't know that's a Nine Inch
I
Nails
cannot
song?
believe you didn't
I
know
didn't.
that.
That's
And
a
I love
Nine Inch
Nine Inch
Nails
Nails.
song.
You are killing me right now.
I'm so
Oh
You're
my
sorry.
god,
literally
we're going to
killing
listen to
me.
that song as
Yes.
soon as we're done here.
Let's hurry
How did
this
you
up.
not realize
Hurry this
that?
up. I
But
just-
no, So the song, but most importantly though, we predict, the predictions online are that Logan is 200 years old. Xavier would probably be 300
No,
years old.
Xavier's
God
close to
knows.
100 years old.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we back
Oh,
up? Can
okay,
we back
yeah,
up a
he's
second?
younger.
He's a lot younger.
Do it.
Christian, this is a spoiler for you, and I don't care.
Probably.
Anyway, Age of Apocalypse. No,
Age of Apocalypse.
no.
Age of
Days of Future Past
Yeah.
ends
Uh-huh.
in 2023.
This
Right.
is like
Movie-
2 or 3 years later.
This movie takes place in 2024.
Okay, so the rumor is this does not take place in the primary
The
continuity line.
synopsis says it.
Right.
No, so there's no official synopsis of what timeline of X-Men this takes place. Are you saying
It's on IMDb.
The IMDb's not official. It's not officially.
They pull that from
out
rumors.
there.
Official
Yeah,
to me.
They
it's
pull
not.
that from
it's
rumors,
not.
and
It's
then
not
they change
official.
it when they hear.
And and the way Fox has been kind of been going, they don't really want that glued continuity because there's time travel and whatnot. This can just be its own separate line. And that's fine. I think that's totally fine with this Logan movie. And I think that's kind of explained in the trailer. Like, mutants are dead. These are some of the last mutants. They're dying. There's a girl that comes along. It's
Who
That-
is
I gotta be
supposedly
honest-
like Logan.
X-23,
Which,
the female
yes,
clone.
the
Maybe.
clone. That's exact. So I didn't pick this up the first time, but like listening to the audio while Sarah was watching it, I totally picked up on that. I was like, oh,
She's like you.
she's like you.
Also, there's
and
a
that's
scene-
Charles Xavier, who's
if-
so wise,
If
like
you,
Gandalf.
right. If you pause the trailer, the one of the last scenes where she like comes up to Logan, he has the blood on him and he has the shovel in his hand.
Yes.
It starts off low and you can actually see blood on her knuckles from where claws could come out.
That's painful. So does she have the regenerative ability?
Probably. I think you'd need it or you'd
So
immediately die.
can I jump real quick? The theory I read about this whole movie, based on the fact that Days of Future Past is in 2023, and this movie supposedly takes place in 2024, is between that year period. And now I say it out loud, it doesn't sound right. But the theory is the Essex Corporation, or Mr. Sinister, my favorite 1990s X-Men villain with the blue and the blue lips and the white eyes.
The Vampire Man.
The Vampire Man, the best villain ever in that show. Basically, him and his corporation wipe out the mutants, and the remaining mutants they're weaponizing. And in this story, like you said, yes, she's a clone and everything, and there's some time travel involved. Basically, Logan, to ultimately save her and stop this future, travels back in time with her, right? Drops her off in 1990s X-Men time, so she'll be in the next X-Men movie. And then goes, destroys Mr. Sinister, and then also destroys the Weapon X program, which ultimately destroys Logan. and that's the send off for Logan. But I want to modify my theory now. I kind of like what Arjuna was saying, where this is an alternate timeline.
Yeah, I like that.
And I still think that X-23 goes back, and I still think Logan's going to basically destroy himself, and I think that's the send off. He's going to stop the Weapon X program. He's going to stop Mr. Sinister, and that is ultimately going to be the end
in this
of
movie?
Logan. In this movie, this is the last movie that Mr. Australia. What's his name?
Hugh
Jackman.
Hugh
And
Jackman.
it's rumored to be the last movie Patrick Stewart will appear in.
That makes sense.
This is, which is,
Xavier.
in my
Because both
opinion,
of them are getting
in my
older.
opinion, is bigger than the whole Wolverine thing. Because what ties
Well,
X-Men
no.
together? It's Charles Xavier.
No, but if you've read X-Men, he's not. There are many X-Men comics after he's passed, so that's not.
Wolverine
enough.
isn't
He
the
dies.
phase 2 in the comics.
enough.
Wolverine wasn't introduced into the X-Men into comics until the 70s, and X-Men's been around since the 40s. So Wolverine has become the face in the movie world, but the
Right.
comics it's always been the team and
Also-
Cyclops
also
has been a
to,
lot, and
um,
Phoenix and Jean Grey.
To Xavier, just a fun fact here, and I read this today, and I thought this was amazing. Patrick Stewart
he's bald,
is
like
bald.
me.
Patrick Stewart has starred in more X-Men films, right, than Star Trek films.
Can
Well,
I
there've
can I
been more-
can I clap my
more-
hands?
X-Men films. There have been more individual X-Men films than Star Trek
But
films.
still, that is
Because
Wait.
Picard is not in all the
Can
Star Trek films.
Can I point out the more important fact is that he looks the same as he did like
Right?
35 years ago.
Yes.
He doesn't he
Also-
hasn't changed a day.
He's amazing.
He is part of WestWorld.
love
He is a
Patrick Stewart.
host. He's a host.
But I will say this: this is something not just about Patrick Stewart, sorry, but about comic book movies. And the thing that I like about thinking of it as whatever timeline is because if you read the comics, every single arc, they don't flow. Like this arc's here and this one's there, and nobody tries to make it flow with something else necessarily. I mean, sometimes they do, but they don't always. And so I do like that this is kind of just its own thing. I also like the thought that he's going to take X-23 back because that then puts in a Wolverine type X-Men going forward because she is more prominent. I mean, like I want them to make use of that character.
I kind of
wanna
don't
lose
want
it
that
after
to
this.
happen though, because like time travel was in the Days of Future Past, and it just seems kind of like.
No, but it's a thing. There are characters. There are mutants who can time travel. Besides, I mean,
No,
there are
I
many.
understand that.
It's not just. Well,
It
who-
just
was
seems so
Kitty?
close.
Who
It just
was
seems
that
like
time traveled and.
so Kitty uses Wolverine to.
She
Right, but
uses
she-
her powers in
Yeah.
order to send
There-
his mind back.
But so in the original comic, she's the one that goes back, but they send Wolverine in the movie back.
And then there's in not Battle of the Atom, but the X-Men. I can't remember the ones. But there's another, like it's a New Mutant after Xavier's dead who does actually have time travel ability.
Yes.
It's not just Kitty. I mean, there are other ones. So I don't think it's
isn't-
far fetched, and I don't think it's really reaching to try and do that.
Isn't one of the children of Cyclops and Jean Grey have time travel abilities, and he's like a crazy kid and kills everyone?
Oh, that's a comic book thing.
Well, that's
I'm
the
sure it'll be
Phoenix
coming
Force
soon.
too.
Moving on real quick, to finish off Marvel real quick, we're going to go around very quickly. I want 10 seconds or less. Your reactions on either the Doctor Strange or the Guardians of Galaxy teasers. Boom,
Well,
go. Juno, you're first.
Well, the Doctor Strange thing is some people have screened it, and there's early reaction to it. That's not a teaser. There's already been.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, so actually, you know what then? Just give me your Guardians reaction.
Loved it. Thought it was perfect.
Thank you. Sarah?
I'm excited about both, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Cool. Ravi?
Can't you come up with a new song, really?
It
For
was
which
darker. It was grittier.
For me,
Like,
I agree.
For
no,
wait,
no,
for- I'm
no,
sorry.
I
Oh,
totally
for-
agree.
I gotcha.
For Guardians.
Yeah,
I
well,
totally agree.
okay.
Why- like,
Totally
ser-
agree.
seriously?
But,
Come on.
but,
Come on.
but,
Come on.
but,
Come on.
It
but,
automatically is associated.
toddler Groot is going to steal the entire movie.
He's so cute.
He will steal the entire movie.
Wait,
Christian, can I tell you all something? As soon as I saw that trailer, I went to Etsy.com
No.
and I started Googling and Etsy searching. And yes, there are pre-orders for a small
With the suit?
flushable.
Is that what?
Did you get one?
No, not
Did you
yet.
order one for me for Christmas?
So, so real quick, LuZo fans, stay tuned for maybe or maybe not LuZo review on plush
Bendable,
toddler
posable
Groot. Maybe.
Can I say something? One
Yeah,
last
please do.
Marvel thing that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really
do
wanted
it
to
up.
bring up. So Deadpool 2 news came out today.
This
that,
is all you.
That the director from the original Deadpool, Tim Miller, has departed the movie, which kind of sets it back because of creative differences between himself and Ryan Reynolds, which comes as a big shock to the nerd community because it seemed like everybody within this project really loved each other. And the primary thing that they disagreed upon was the casting of Cable. Ryan Reynolds produced and put a lot of his own money into the first Deadpool, and Tim Miller was obviously heavily involved as a director. Now, we talked about this on LuZoCast a few months ago about the casting rumors for Cable, and Miller wanted the guy from, Friday Night Lights, Saturday Night Lights, I forget his name. Again, he's in that Netflix show Bloodline, and Ryan Reynolds wanted a bigger name, more physically imposing actor, and then I guess Miller didn't like that Ryan Reynolds was given more money and even more creative control over the movie, so it's just a clashing of heads, and now the movie is directorless. So it's kind of, for the big Fox movie.
When is Deadpool 2 slated to come out?
Sometime in 2018. Fox has not put an official date out, and I have to imagine this is going to cause some delay.
give us a prediction.
2019.
I don't know.
Okay.
They've got plenty
Word.
of time, though, honestly.
I mean, it is important because Deadpool 2 was probably the best superhero
Deadpool
movie of 2016. It was.
Yes,
and
it was.
it is big news because it did the genre very differently. So keep an eye out. Deadpool 2 still has Ryan Reynolds, which is good, but it didn't have the director who directed Deadpool 1. He's gone. So, who knows? We'll see.
Anyone want to volunteer for that job while we're sitting here?
I would. My name's out there. My name is Karjuna Ramgopal. You can reach me at 603-911.
Let us move on to some miscellaneous
Nerdiverse.
Nerdiverse items. We have, let us see, Red Dead Redemption 2 teaser came out. Looks kind of the same as Red Dead Redemption 1. I mean, you
I'm
say
excited.
boo,
I'm
but
excited.
only because they gave us the same thing, I think, as Red Dead
Graphics
Redemption.
Arjuna's
look
the only one
terrible.
excited.
I'm pre-ordering.
It's
I'm
Arjuna,
It's a
I'm sorry.
preview.
I'm sorry. Arjuna, look at me. Look
It's
at
a
me.
preview.
Look at me. Look at me.
This is
Arjuna,
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Arjuna.
Yeah.
Do not pre-order video games. It is bad. Don't do it. Wait till it's on sale, then maybe
No,
buy
I
it.
want it. I love Rockstar. They've never made at least in the last 10 years, made a video game that I didn't absolutely love. So yes, I'm going to
Fair
pre-order
enough.
it so I can get it day one and play it. I've loved every single Rockstar game that's come.
Next item, Nintendo Switch.
Boo.
Nintendo stupid, you mean?
Okay, so real quick, Nintendo Switch, they've announced a new console, which you would think would put them ahead of Sony and Microsoft. No, it doesn't, because this is why. It's basically a tablet that, exports to a big screen.
It's what the Wii U
and
should have been.
The controllers, when you want to play on your tablet, are this big. But you can also have your controller, and you can play with all your buddies, but the screen is this big when you play with your buddies.
It's probably about
And
this big.
it feels very gimmicky. Does anyone have any other comments on that?
It's overpriced. It's not backwards compatible.
Oh,
Yeah,
fail.
it-
Nintendo, you gotta make that
usually
backwards
Nintendo
compatible.
is backwards compatible with
You
a lot of their
gotta-
stuff,
yeah.
and this one it's been.
I will say
stated
this.
that this is not backwards compatible. So.
I will say this. It is interesting they're going back to cartridges for a console.
Ooh, so if it doesn't work, you just blow in the cartridge.
I am excited for that because part of going back to cartridges does mean you can actually you save on storage space on the actual console, which saves on power. Number one, and then number two, you can actually put on more information. It's just the implementation that Nintendo's using in this particular system makes no sense.
Wait,
Yeah.
but if you can save storage space, blah blah blah, why is it $500?
That's an estimated price. We don't know.
I
the
don't.
price
Oh,
yet.
if it's
We
even
don't know the
near that,
price.
it's crazy.
So this is
$500.
basically what they wanted the Wii U to be with the tablet and kind of taking the game on the go. If it works as well as it does in the trailer, I guess that's kind of cool. But the little, like you said, the controls on the side look dumb. And then the biggest problem that Nintendo has compared to Sony and Microsoft is the lack of
Titles.
Like the original Nintendo games are great, like Mario and Zelda and all that.
They have enough. They have enough there. You would think that would be enough.
But the problem is your mainstream stuff. So like think about a few months ago when The Division came out, right? You can't play that on a Nintendo device. You can't play any Call of Duties on a Nintendo device.
That said, there is this, which we can put a link to. I found this article in Popular Science, 5 Things You Don't See in the Trailer. There's a pretty good list of companies that are partnering with Nintendo Switch.
Sure, but the problem always has been, and I'm pretty sure with the graphics capability of the Switch, it's still a step down from the other systems comparable. And I think it's still not even up there.
There's no 4K. They've already proved it. They've also said that the dock that's used to connect the Nintendo Switch to the TV does not increase graphic performance. It is just there for charging and connecting to the TV. That's it. Yeah. All the power comes from the actual console. The other big thing is when Nintendo released the first Nintendo Wii, there were a lot of developers that were signed on, like a nice big list. By the time launch day came by, a lot of those developers had left.
Yeah.
So this is all pre-release stuff.
And that's the problem with Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo just needs to focus on their games because their original stuff is great. Like Zelda is great, Mario, Pokemon, all great.
Yeah.
Just hone in on that. Forget doing systems. Keep your handheld, like the DS and stuff does well. But just forget the main console systems and just
retro systems and leave it at that and make all of us happy. And don't make them $500.
To that point, I'm convinced if Nintendo was to re-release their N64, that would make so much money because I would buy one.
The mini SNES coming out, right? Or NES.
And then they have the Super Nintendo coming out again.
That's
what
I know. Well, in case people don't know abbreviations. Super Nintendo might be coming out again, but so Nintendo probably just go with software and games.
That's what I think.
Why do they keep staying with?
Because you can make a bunch of money off of it. I mean, you sell these things for
them a fraction of the price.
$300, $400 a pop.
All right.
People have to buy them and the games. You make a lot in the initial investment. The Nintendo Wii is still one of the best-selling video game systems ever because people fell for the motion gimmickiness.
That makes sense.
You had a Nintendo Wii at one point.
Did you really?
I actually did, yeah.
I didn't know that.
For the shooter and the horror games because they were actually very cool.
I didn't know that. Wow.
The Nintendo Wii. They were actually cool. They're graphically less, but the gameplay was like more intense because you're in it and you're like, I'm actually aiming with my hand, so I'm in this game.
Like Duck Shooter.
Yes.
That was a fun game.
And Duck Shooter is an amazing game. Duck Hunt.
Sorry.
Duck.
Get it right. Come on. It's Duck Hunt.
We're at the end of our show. Let's go around real quick. Last thoughts, final thoughts. Ravi, do you have anything? Or Juno, or you know what? Whoever has something to say, just say it.
So Walking Dead will be premiering by the time we
Nobody
post
cares.
this on Sunday, and I just want to say Glenn is dead because the rumor is he might be Nightwing in the new Batman movie, so that means he's dead.
Only according to a couple of sites, but that would be hilarious if we figure that out because he might be cast as Nightwing.
He could do both, and I think he'd be great as Nightwing. I'm cool with that.
My theory is Carol.
She's not even at the lineup.
I don't even know. I don't even know who's still alive.
Yeah, so
I don't even know who's still alive on that show.
I'm the same way. I haven't seen this crap since before the last season that premiered.
Oh, yeah, you're further behind than I am.
Yes, I am.
So the last
and you know
thing
what?
Like the
I don't
died?
care because it's a bunch of crap. It's literally crap. Anyways, anyone else? Last final thoughts?
I still think it's Carol.
she literally can't be the one that dies by Negan's bat because she's not in that lineup.
I still hold to that. Thank you.
Negan is Jeffrey Dean.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't even seen any
Thomas
episode.
Wayne.
Oh yeah, Thomas Wayne too.
I haven't even seen. He was on Grey's Anatomy as Denny, which I'm the only one who watched that. So shut it.
Grey's Anatomy.
It was good then. I haven't watched that in years either. I don't know. It may be good. It's still going. They killed off Patrick Dempsey.
Is that a self-defense?
McDreamy. They killed off McSteamy like a couple of years
Who's
before.
McSteamy?
I don't know. Eric
Banner?
No.
Nero?
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
Anyone else? Final thoughts. I think we've had all we
We're done.
can get from
Someone
that.
just announced the PlayStation 5.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
I'm
just throwing out
oh
fake
my
news
god,
now.
just
About to
stop
say, I was like-
speaking.
What?
I did see the number for the acquisition. It's $85 billion for AT&T.
I saw 80 billion.
I saw 85.
Either way, it's a
billion.
lot of billions. It's more
Wait,
billions than I
wait,
have.
to buy
They just
AT&T?
bought- yeah.
AT&T
Well, I'm
to
buying
buy
it right now.
AT&T,
No, AT&T
to
buy
buy
Time Warner.
It paid
Oh.
$85 billion.
So
Oh, never
that
mind.
means that to buy AT&T, it's you can't ever afford that ever.
Trillions?
So
Even
two
if you
quick,
have 85
two quick
billion.
things.
Please.
It is 85 billion. It will not go into full effect until after regulatory investigation by the United States government. So it will not be wrapped up till late 2017, early 2018. And then also, LuZo, us, we will be once again at Stan Lee's Los Angeles,
Los Angeles Comic-Con,
Comic-Con next
formerly
week.
known as Kamikaze.
We will be trying to do a LuZoCast there. If by chance you are there, please come by, ask us questions live. I think that would be fun.
We'll be
That'd be
wearing
fun.
these
We'll
shirts.
be actually wearing these shirts, so come find us.
And yet you can tweet us at LuZo, and you can send us comments at Facebook at LuZo Productions to try and coordinate to meet up with
Find
us.
us on
there
Facebook.
and
Find us
whatnot.
everywhere. Yeah.
It will be a fun time. It's going to be a great convention. It's going to be a great convention.
It's bigly. It's
It's
very
bigly.
bigly. It's a very bigly convention.
It's bigly.
Nobody respects
Really?
women more than I do.
Hopefully,
Nobody respects this convention more than I do.
watching this episode, you know, if you have anything related to real science or fake science, you can, hit us up. Okay, we'll do our best.
We hit on everything.
But that is it from Ravi, Sarah, Arjuna, and Krishna. This has been LuZoCast. This has been episode 22. We're past the drinking age now, so we're
It's all
really
downhill from
responsible.
We can
here.
rent a car in 3 episodes.
In 3 episodes, we can rent a car.
Oh, Lord.
Please subscribe. Please like our videos. And as always, comment. We will answer.
Or not.
Hopefully, yes.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Take care. Until next time.